Hello, everybody. Welcome along to a championship check-in Good Friday special. We said we would try and fit something in between Good Friday and Easter Monday. And here we are, or should I say, here I am, just me tonight. And it is very, very late on Good Friday. Sam has been on 5 Live today. I've been doing 2 watch-alongs and trying to keep up with everything. And by God, we want to spend some time with our families tomorrow over the Easter weekend. So I'm going to get this done tonight, right now, late on Good Friday, and then can chill out, get strong again, ready for the Easter Monday round of games. And what a day in the Championship. Let's bang through the results and we'll go through many of the segments we normally do. It'll be a bridge because there's no Sam Parkin here. He will be back on Wednesday to review the whole of the weekend. But in the early kickoff, it was Bristol City 1, Leicester City 0. Millwall 1, West Brom 1. That was an early police kickoff. Then the 3 p.m.s went, and it was Cardiff 0, Sunderland 2. Huddersfield 1, Coventry 3. It was Hull 0, Stoke 2. Norwich 2, Plymouth 1. Preston 3, Rotherham 0. QPR 2, Birmingham 1. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Swansea 1. Southampton 1, Middlesbrough 1. That was the end of the 3 p.m.s. Then we went to 2 more TV games where it was Blackburn 0, Ipswich 1. And in the 8 p.m. kickoff, it was Watford 2, Leeds 2. Wall-to-wall championship football, 10 hours of it today. So plenty for me to pick out for a Parkin's pick. As I normally say when Sam's not around, it's kind of Bloom's choice rather than Parkin's pick. But I'm sure Sam would endorse my pick here of top 4. Take it in turns. Just a thrilling day in the promotion race in the Championship. Let's go through chronologically what happened, and then I'll tell you what I think the significance of it is afterwards. So, Leicester went off first, knowing that pretty much anything, a draw would have taken them top of the table. The only bogey result was a 0-pointer, a defeat, and that is what happened to the Foxes, who now have a run of 4 points in 6 games and only 1 win in that period. They went to Bristol City. They lost 1-0. I'm going to make this very plain, and this is probably good solace for the Leicester fans. It's a game they easily could have won. And you look at these things, and I know at this point in the season, it is all about, look, just win. Just get your job done and score more points than your direct rivals when we get to this time. But it's not like that, is it? Because you would, look, we'll talk about Ipswich in a bit. You would much rather have a good performance that suggested you were going to play well for the remainder of the season rather than maybe not have a great performance and, well, hey, look, it depends what you've done in the previous games, of course, doesn't it? But Leicester, and particularly Jamie Vardy, which is very strange because, you know, easily the most glittering career of any striker playing in the Championship, presented with 4 really good chances, 2 1v1s, you know, pretty easy ones as well. Missed them all. Anis Mehmeti then got the only goal in the game for Bristol City, and Leicester lose to kick things off. I suppose, again, as I'm suggesting, what would you rather? Create loads of chances, miss them all and lose 1-0, or not create anything, stink the place out and lose 1-0? I suppose you'd rather be making the chances and be able to have some kind of argument that you should have won the game, but you didn't win the game, you know, so it is what it is. So Leicester get off to a defeat, which then pricks up the eyes of absolutely everybody. It was Southampton's turn then at 3 p.m. They played Middlesbrough. They went a goal up through Adam Armstrong. and looked like they were going to take 3 points out of Leicester, who they already knew had lost. But Emmanuel Lath heads in the 90th minute, and Southampton already had a mountain to climb. I'll tell you in my conclusions why nothing's really changed for Southampton today, but it could have got better for Southampton, and it didn't. They could have taken, with hindsight, we now know. They didn't know at the time. They knew about Leicester. Could have taken 3 points out of Leicester. They've taken 1 point out of Leicester. They could have taken 2 points out of Leeds, and they're as they were with Leeds. And as we're about to discuss, they've dropped 2 points further back on Ipswich. And this was the nail-biting 5:30 game, the second watch-along in the Championship. And this was the case of end-of-season running, just get the blooming job done. Ipswich were nowhere near their best in this game. They got a goal fairly early, 9th minute. Chaplin, goalkeeping mistake, you would have to say. 2 very contentious refereeing decisions in the first half. There's a big pull on Nathan Broadhead in the box. I think that was at 0-0. Can't really blame the ref for not seeing it. It's clever from Callum Britton, isn't it? The body's in the way and he shields it well. Maybe the linesman could have helped out a little bit there. That wasn't quite as contentious, though, as a disallowed goal for Blackburn, whereby it was Joe Rankin Costello drove in a shot, and Sammy Smodic was in an offside position. The ball deflects off George Edmondson and goes in the net. Smodic tries to kind of jump out the way, and I think the question, the binary kind of debate here, and I'm saying that in jest because it's never binary refereeing decisions, but the key comment here is, was Smodic interfering with play? And look, it's incredibly subjective, and my take is if there'd been VAR, I think they would have let the goal stand. But we don't have VAR in the Championship, and the officials get one look at it, and it's very, very difficult. So again, I don't blame the officials. It's a real subjective, hard call there. Obviously, we disappear quite quickly into farce because you have people who are pro Ipswich not conceding that goal, working their little cognitive dissonance to make up their mind in favour of the refereeing decision. And we have people who would like Blackburn's goal to have stood. The cognitive dissonance works in their mind and they make that then decide that it should. And it's very, very hard to actually have a sensible conversation when people are emotionally invested and tribally engaged in what's happening. I'll try and stay down the middle. And I can't say fair because I'm a blooming Ipswich fan. If I went with my emotions, I would immediately conclude that this goal shouldn't have stood. But I do think if there'd been VAR, it would have been given as a goal. What I will say is there is 30 minutes at the end of this game, though, where forget a goal being disallowed in the first half. Blackburn should have equalised. They were well on top. Ipswich kind of looked knackered and punch drunk, and the quality when the substitutions were made. Blackburn improved with their substitutions. Ipswich, just trended down, and Blackburn changed their shape, and it was pretty dominant from Blackburn, but they did not manage to get the equalising goal. Ipswich get the win. And at that point, we knew Ipswich were going to the top of the table. But Leeds then played in the 8 o'clock game at Watford. And I must admit, I was relaxing, but I had it on and I was concentrating as best I could. Leeds with certainly some selection issues. Let's just say they've been very, very stable. Yes, I know a lot of people will argue, oh, boo-hoo, Leeds have got a brilliant, brilliant squad. And, would you rather have international players all season and maybe some issues? How many international breaks are there? 4? Is it right? 4? I can't. Would you rather have some issues for those games after the international breaks and then for the other 40 games you've got international class players? Well, it is what it is. Everyone has to cope with it. But Leeds, a couple of their key partnerships got broken up, didn't they? Ampadu and Roden. Cooper came in, didn't he? And Ampadu got moved forward because Gruif wasn't around. Neither was Nonto, neither was Firpo. Well, Firpo was around, but not deemed fit to start. So Leeds have been real stable with just the same team every single game. We've seen Parkin do that when he got promoted at Norwich. Just real rinse, repeat, process. Same team. Win. That's what Leeds have been doing. But in this game, don't forget Watford are a year 2 parachute team. And Leeds haven't been conceding any goals. But against some real good quality players, particularly Emmanuel Dennis in this game. And Bayu got the opening goal, volleying in. Brilliant goal by Somerville to equalise. Then brilliant goal by Dennis to give them the lead again. And Leeds coming up against some individual quality, able to finally someone was able to score past Leeds. Yes, it took year 2 parachute players in the end to do it. But this record of Leeds not conceding any goals other than set play goals this year is finally broken. But the record that isn't broken is Leeds' undefeated streak through 2024. They did get back and equalise. Mateo Joseph came off the bench and scored. I think it's a pretty deserved equaliser from what I was seeing. It was very much Leeds pushing, and Watford. I wouldn't say Watford were clinging on like Ipswich were clinging on against Blackburn, but certainly the impetus was with Leeds. And what that means, well, why don't I illustrate it in a much better way by bringing the table up, is Leeds take just a single point. And we now have Ipswich at the top of the table. I mean, these points totals, just if you lose in sight of this season, it is worth saying this context is ridiculous in terms of the points being scored. 84 for Ipswich, 83 for Leeds, 82 for Leicester. Southampton are 8 points back from Leicester, but the important number is they're 9 points back from Leeds. But they have 2 games in hand, of course, on Leeds and Ipswich. Although, remember, the game in hand for Leicester is against Southampton. So it is a head-to-head there. And the other one's Preston, isn't it, for Southampton? But yeah, just incredible totals. Ipswich now have a point lead at the top of the table on Leeds, who have a point lead on Leicester. And it is just still incredibly tight. And we're going to go to my conclusions now. And I know Southampton fans are going to be disappointed today because Leicester dropped points and Leeds dropped points and Southampton didn't win. But nothing has changed for Southampton other than there's one less game to play. They're still 9 points off the top 2. That was the same before this round of games, wasn't it? It's just kind of reordered itself slightly. And they've still got away trips to Leeds on the last day and Leicester and Ipswich on Monday. So as much as Saints fans will be disappointed, and yes, it could have gone better, nothing's changed, has it? The gap's the same and the mission is the same. Southampton need to have a hell of a run through to the end of the season, and they probably need to beat 2 of the 3 teams in the top 3 they've got away games against. And let's be honest, they need to get the points on the board. So that's probably not Leeds on the last day, isn't it? So they probably the assignment just hasn't changed. They've got to go to Ipswich and win, probably. And they've got to go to Leicester and win. And, you know, then we'll be sat here if they win both of those games and everything's tightened up and still be the Preston game in hand to go in the back end. But we'll be like, oh, okay, Southampton are in the conversation. If they don't manage to do that, they're going to be in the playoffs. So just my point being is I actually wouldn't be... it's a bit like one of those cup games where you know what you need to do and you need to win and you concede a goal and you level or what have. And it's like, well, nothing's changed. The mission is still the same. You still need to go and win the game. And Southampton's mission hasn't changed. I think I'm labouring my point here. Leicester do feel like the only real losers in this one today. I mean, literally, they're the only team to lose their game, aren't they? And of all the form charts, I mean, 4 points in 6 games. So it was that triple defeat. Then it was a win and a draw wasn't it? They beat Sunderland and then drew at Hull, and now a defeat again today. And in such a high standard season, I know Ipswich had one, didn't they, where they were 1 win in 9, weren't they, Ipswich? And obviously Leeds had the start of the season. Southampton had that September run. Everyone's had a tiny little blip, 6 games, 9 games, whatever. It's not really tiny, but everyone's had a blip and then just been winning the entire rest of the time. It's not been average the rest of the time. It's just been incredibly high standard. So Leicester are having theirs right now, and it's just, does it keep going? And you do start to look at Leicester's fixtures and the way that I think it was Lee Hendry on the coverage was making the point today. The way that Bristol City played them, in that they kind of sat like a spring and managed to counter-attack. And yeah, okay, if Jamie Vardy has his shooting boots on, this is not a conversation, and Leicester have won, and it's them that would be top of the table, wouldn't it? But that Norwich are in great form. Birmingham with Rowett and Millwall with Harris, especially Millwall away, you know, they'll make it awkward. Plymouth aren't playing well at the moment, although the Norwich fans are saying they played well today. And then look, West Brom and Southampton. So it's by no means an easy run for Leicester. And when we're looking at, you know, your 2 points per game seems to just be the minimum that you're going to need. You know, the kind of winning streak that, you know, winning three out of 4 is probably going to be what everyone's going to need to set themselves up. Well, a couple of draws in there, and you know, maybe what looked like just a weird outlier in Leicester's season turns into use whatever word you're comfortable with, a wobble, a stutter, or anything in between. So yeah, Leicester, it's concerning, isn't it? But I mean, I looked at the 11 and Didi was back and Ricardo off the bench. Just got a brilliant first 11, a brilliant first sort of 16 squad. They're more than capable of going on a 4-game winning streak and putting themselves right back in the box seat. And of course, the crazy thing is, I'm sure there'll be plenty of sort of downbeat attitudes towards Leicester today. But I mean, look, for goodness sake, stay in touch, win the game in hand. They're top. They're above Ipswich and Leeds if they can manage to do that. But the trend isn't that at the moment. For Leeds, I think they can't be too unhappy. They've been on an absolutely scandalously good run of 12 wins in 13 games. You cannot win every single game. You just can't. And Leeds were away at a Year 2 parachute team. Parachute teams have quality players. That's what the parachute payments do. They allow relegated Premier League clubs to keep players that are Premier League level. And okay, Dennis, the guy we're probably picking out, is on loan, but he was at Watford. He's a very high-end player when he wants to be, as Troy Deeney was saying. But Leeds did have some selection issues, and Daniel Farke was sort of saying it was the perfect time to play them. So if he's not just messaging to his fan base, and, you know, there is some truth in that, which I think there probably is, then draw the game, score a couple of goals, come back from behind twice. If Leeds now win against Hull so what is it for Leeds? With 12 wins in 13, that's now 12 wins in 14. That's 14 unbeaten. If they then win against Hull, it's 15 games unbeaten. It's 13 wins in 15. It's still title winning, promotion winning form. And the trend is very, very good. And I've said all along, the guy in the dugout at Leeds is the most credible of all the managers, with the 2 title wins in his back pocket on his CV. So, yeah, I'm sure Leeds fans will be disappointed if they take just tonight in microcosm. But given the mitigating circumstances, you know, with a few players who would have started not being available to start, and given the big picture and the long-term trend, I wouldn't be too unhappy if I was a Leeds fan. I don't have to play if I was an Ipswich fan, because I am an Ipswich fan, and Ipswich obviously had the best day of anyone in terms of the points differentials and if we're going to be completely black and white about this, and it's loads of people were saying to me in the comments on the watch-alongs today, oh, it's not about the performance at this point in the season. I'd say that in cup football. I'd say that if there was 2 games to go or 1 game to go, but there is still a run of games to go. There's a fair argument. I didn't watch the Middlesbrough game. I watched the other 3 pretty much for all of the 90 minutes. Pretty good argument. The Ipswich were the worst performing team on my eye test of all of them. And you can flip this both ways, can't you? If you're, and again, people get, they're not honest about it. They don't talk in good faith. They choose the narrative that suits what's best for the team they support. And sometimes people don't even know they're doing it. It's just the way their emotions guide them as football fans. But if you were really accentuating the positive of that, you'd say, amazing, fighting performance, kept the clean sheet, weren't at their best, managed to get a goal, rode their luck at times, and got the 3 points. And people say things like playing badly and winning, that's what promotions are made of, and blah, blah, blah. That's the completely exaggerated toxic positivity response. The toxic negative, which I tend to have been hearing on Twitter from fans of rival teams, oh, lucky Ipswich, blah, blah, blah. Goal went through the keeper's hands and, should have been a goal the other end, got disallowed. And I think when we're coming down to luck as the conclusion, I don't think the analysis is very good. And I just think you've got to talk over the big picture and say that how many games have Ipswich won now? Ipswich won 25 games this season. They've lost fewer games than any other side. They are the only team in this promotion race to keep a clean sheet today. They are the only team to win today. So I think it starts to get a bit churlish when we're talking about luck this and luck that. It's probably just a few salty people, and the right-minded football fans are a bit more respectful of this League One team who's currently above 3 brilliant Year One parachute teams with amazing players, amazing points totals as well. So, look, it's been a great day for Ipswich, but I'm going to hold the line here. And it's not me trying to dampen expectations or play some psychological game on myself. I'm trying to call this in good faith as I see it. Not much has changed, guys. Not much has changed. Yeah, okay. Ipswich have jumped from 3rd to 1st, and Leeds and Leicester have both dropped a place. Fine. There's still 1 point between 1st and 2nd and 2nd and 3rd. Leicester still have a game in hand. We still have 7, 8, and 9 games to play for these top 4 teams. So, in the small picture, today is a big win for Ipswich, but it doesn't matter. If Southampton go to Ipswich on Monday and win, and Leeds can pick up anything at home to Hull, they'll go above Ipswich. And Leicester, if they can beat Norwich, they'll go above Ipswich. And it could all flip right back around again. So just to round this conversation out, were I a Southampton fan or a Leicester fan feeling really negative, not that much has changed. And were I an Ipswich fan feeling really, really positive, not that much has changed, really, when you think about all of it. And we go again on Monday. All the players are going to be trying to get some sleep, warm down tomorrow, light session on Sunday, and then they're at it again. And I suppose this is the point where you would prefer to have been on the road. I think Southampton, they're the only ones who are going to be travelling. Everybody else is coming from away games to home games in respect of Leicester at home to Norwich, and Ipswich at home, obviously, to Southampton, Leeds at home to Hull. And everything could be different after Monday. And then we'll have a week to kind of reflect going into it. Well, not quite a week with a bank holiday Monday game, isn't it? But you see what I'm saying? So this is why it's a mini podcast in between Good Friday and Easter Monday. And, I think you actually have to view the Easter games as a double, and we can really sink our teeth into what the impact is on Monday. And look, if things double down and it continues to be bad for Leicester and maybe Southampton, and continues to be decent for Leeds and good for Ipswich, then that compounds over 2 games when maybe less so over 1. So look, that is my take on the promotion picture. Let me know yours in the comments. Maybe we'll clip that one out. But yes, bad day for Leicester. Yes, good day for Ipswich. But I'm going to repeat that line again. When you think about it, not that much has really changed. It is still so tight. Let's get to Worldie of the Week. Right, I'm going to put this to you. Let me know your Worldie of the Week. And that is the question. What do you think was the best goal in the Championship today? Again, I want to talk to football fans rather than cult members. So what I need you to do is try and override your emotional and tribal bias towards the team you support, because 9 times out of 10 people just, without even thinking about it, they just pick a goal from the team they support. I will attempt not to do that. I've got 4 to suggest, but get your suggestions in the comments. Please just try and be honest. Try and talk in good faith, and don't let it just be fanboying for the team you support. Mehmeti of Bristol City drilled in with the left foot. I thought it was a great goal. Sims for Coventry, cutting in off the left-hand side and drilling that one into the far corner. Brilliant goal. Dunne for QPR, late on against Birmingham. Somerville for Leeds as well. Brilliant curler. You have your pick of those 4. I will tell you that my World of the Week is Jimmy Dunne for QPR. And I'm going to go for the whole package because I think there's a few things to add in here that he's against a load of strikers and wingers and whatnot. This is a centre-back who's been playing right-back, scoring a chest and a left foot volley. And it was also a stoppage time winner in a relegation head-to-head. So I think once you add all the extra elements of narrative and whatnot, that would be my goal of the round. I know most of you will ignore that and just pick a goal by the team you support, but that would be my take. And if we want to have a good faith conversation about it, get involved down there in the comments, and yeah, put all of your votes for the team you support in as well. Why the hell not? And we're going to move on to our meltdown moment. And it's not really a moment as such, but we've got to talk about the Millers' momentous Monday. Rotherham lost again today, 25th time this season, which does mean now mathematically, look at those numbers. Rotherham have 7 games to play. So if they were to lose their next game on Monday, they're at home to Millwall, who are in good form, aren't they? Their maximum upside would then be, assuming they were to win all of their last 6 games, would be 18 points. They would only be able to get to 38. You can see one above the line is Birmingham City on 39. And Rotherham would be relegated. Therefore, if they lose to Millwall on Monday, I think you can probably all see that if Rotherham were to draw, they could then still draw level, potentially, if there are teams left on 39 points. But again, we're talking about a 6-game winning streak and a 20-goal difference swing. So it's less than likely, but it might not be mathematically. All it will take, however, though, if you look at it, is one of those 3 teams there, Birmingham, Huddersfield, Wednesday, just to get a draw and move on to 40 points. And Rotherham can draw and be down. And look, there is still a chance Rotherham can win on Monday and they will still drop. I think we'd need something from Plymouth then. They'd get involved, and just one of the other teams there maybe to get themselves a win, which would then push the tide up to 42 points. And yeah, again, we're still looking for if Rotherham were to win, we'd be looking for a 7-game win streak, including this one. The long and the short of it is Rotherham look fairly likely to drop on Monday. And be interesting to get your takes in the comments on what's gone wrong. The Benjamin Bloom Relegation paradigm says chaos, owners, size, and bad luck. I would say in Rotherham's case this season, chaos a little bit. Obviously, they took Matt Taylor out. Did take rather a long time to get Liam Richardson in, and there's been no discernible bump as there in terms of the results. Whether or not there's been the impact from their summer signings that they actually spent a bit of money in context for Rotherham is another thing. Owners, no. I'll give Tony Stewart a pass there. I think he's one of the better owners in the Championship. Bad luck? Well, I don't think so. When we talk about bad luck, we're basically talking about, did you spend all your money on one player and they got injured and didn't do anything, or did certain things go against you? I don't think we can call that. Size, we can. I know football fans get very emotional about the idea that their club is not as big as a different club or in comparison. I think if we take the emotions out of it and, just objectively look at what Rotherham spend and what budgets they have and what's coming in from gate receipts and commercials and whatnot, they're doing well to survive in the Championship, aren't they? And, with Rotherham, they've yo-yoed between Championship and League One, and at most it's normally been a couple of seasons. And as much as it'll irritate Rotherham fans, me saying it, did they cash in on a good start last year? And for the most part, after, like halfway up the table before Paul Warne went, in fact, to do the Derby job. So they've kind of been in relegation form for a large part of last season and all of this season, and abject relegation form at the moment, given the winless run, the fallow run that they've been on. So it looks like Rotherham are gone. We'll talk about it properly once, is what looks like a very inevitable, very soon relegation is confirmed. But let me know your thoughts, whether it's just a case of a team that punches really well for its size. And I know people find that patronising, but sometimes you just have to accept the world as it is and just be honest. And that is the case when you compare Rotherham to the teams they're up against in the Championship. And could they have gone the one stage further this season and built on it? Or once they got into the second season, it hasn't worked out that way, and it does look like Rotherham are going to be back in League One, where they are an incredible League One club, put it that way. So Rotherham are our meltdown moment today. Are they going to drop on a momentous Monday for the Millers? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments, and we're going to our cause for concern. I'm going to flip the script a little bit on cause for concern. We normally pick out the cause for concern is the team that's struggling. But I'm going to make the cause for concern here Sheffield Wednesday, because I am still looking at the bottom of that table and thinking I would be concerned about Sheffield Wednesday overtaking me if I were at Huddersfield, at Birmingham, at Plymouth, and at Blackburn. I just think the trends still, and we've got 7 to play now, have Wednesday moving at a faster pace in a better direction than Huddersfield, Birmingham, Plymouth, and Blackburn. We'll deal with that in a minute. Just have a look a bit higher and look at QPR, Stoke, and Millwall. And yes, it is still very, very tight. But look, QPR, last 5 games, and it's very simple what I'm going to ask you to do. Green W's in the form guide in the last 5. There's 2 of them. That's 6 points. Add on another 2 for the 2 draws. That's 8 points going in. Stoke, even better. 3 wins in there. Win, loss, win, loss, win. 9 points. And again, Millwall, same as QPR. 2 wins, 2 draws and a defeat. There is 8 points. You are then seeing no green, no wins in the next 4 teams. Blackburn, Plymouth, Birmingham, and Huddersfield. Sheffield Wednesday, okay, there's a 6-0 in there at Ipswich last time. And I mean, to be fair to Wednesday, it was a 6-0 against Ipswich. And then they played Leeds the game before. So you could argue that, well, you know, given goal difference being what it is down at the bottom and everyone's on a big minus, okay, look, a 6-0 never helps. But look, they played the teams that are the top two sides in the league, looking at today's table. So I still feel that it is a cause for concern for Blackburn, Plymouth, Birmingham and Huddersfield that Sheffield Wednesday, and they've got a draw today against Swansea, are capable of keeping this trend going. We've got 39 points and pushing on. Still don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be closer to 45 like it usually is? Is it going to be, we're saying 49? We're saying 48 now? I don't know. You tell me. It did seem crazy if it was going to be 50 like we thought it might be for a little while. Just on this relegation picture, let's just have a look at Monday. And those sides we were just talking about, Birmingham with Gary Rowett at home, but to a Preston side pushing for the playoffs. Sheffield Wednesday go to Middlesbrough. So even though I've just said they are a cause for concern for everybody else, that is difficult, isn't it? Middlesbrough got a point against Southampton, and they've been a bit unpredictable this season, Middlesbrough. So we could go and see Wednesday win there. We could see Middlesbrough comfortably win. We're kind of unsure on them. Plymouth, home. That's good news to Bristol City. I guess that's their most local game, isn't it, that one? Rotherham and Millwall. Well, Millwall we've put with QPR and Stoke in kind of the safer bracket, but then look at that fixture. Stoke versus Huddersfield. That is massive, isn't it? And Huddersfield are going to be looked upon by Stoke as, right, win this game. And, you know, you've gone back-to-back over Easter. Great win for Stoke, by the way, at Hull today. And you're taking 3 points out of a direct rival as well. It's huge, that one. Sunderland, Blackburn. Can Blackburn regroup? Blackburn should have got something against Ipswich today, but they did not. And I think Eustace doesn't have a win there yet, does he? Swansea v QPR. QPR on the road after a great win today. That's it for those relegation games. Let me know your thoughts. I'm still seeing 4 teams there that are stinking it out in Plymouth, Birmingham, Huddersfield and Blackburn. Look, all it'll take is a win and a draw for one of those teams, and that'll move the needle. But until such time as that happens, you've essentially got Sheffield Wednesday, who over most periods, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 game form tables, have been outperforming all those other teams. And if you were to obviously extrapolate that over the next 4, 6, well, there's not going to be more than, we can't do the 8 because that's only 7 games to play, isn't there? But that would have Sheffield Wednesday moving up and out. And I don't know, unless we get a big losing streak from Wednesday, I'm still going to be beating that drum until it's not the case in those form tables and those trend lines. Sheffield Wednesday, cause for concern, but with a little twist. Are they the cause for concern for the other teams in the Championship relegation race? Let's go on. We've kind of already covered this to our mouth-watering matchup. So we did a double mouth-watering matchup with Sam on the last podcast. We had QPR Birmingham for the Good Friday game. That did not disappoint with the late winner in QPR getting such a key victory. Now it's got to be, we've only got 3 of these head-to-heads remaining, haven't we? We've got Southampton, Ipswich, we've got Southampton, Leicester, and then Southampton, Leeds. And on Easter Monday, it is Ipswich versus Southampton. And it's just absolutely massive, isn't it? And first of all, let's look at it from a Southampton point of view, where we've said for Southampton to make what would be a brilliant run to promotion to the top 2, we're looking at, well, actually, let me bring the table up and I'll actually put proper numbers on this because Southampton have 9 games remaining, more than anybody else. if we added on 2 points per game, that would take them to 92. Is that even going to be enough? I'm not sure it is. So we've said Southampton, call it, I don't know, not 18 points from 9 games. What about 21 points from 9 games? That would take them to 95. Now we might be talking, but I'm still sure I'll get comments from people saying, Ben, 95, not this season, mate. It's not going to be enough. So Southampton need to go on a hell of a tear. And let's be quite frank about this. If Southampton lose to Ipswich, they will have 8 games remaining. And Ipswich, even though they still have 2 games in hand, would then be 13 points ahead of Southampton. So you tell me in the comments, is it a case that if Ipswich beat Southampton, Ipswich look fairly certain to finish above Southampton, don't they? And we've just made it so clear with these head-to-head games with Southampton. Okay, maybe they can draw 1, but surely they play Ipswich first, Leicester, and then Leeds on the last day. Surely it needs to be 6 or 7 points from there. They can't lose games against their rivals, can they, in these kind of 6-pointer type situations? The other way of looking at this is for Ipswich, who find themselves incredibly top of the table. League One, runners up, not even champions in League One last year, runners up behind Plymouth. Ipswich find themselves top of the table going into Easter Monday. And it's Southampton at home and then it's Norwich away. And I think a lot of Ipswich fans have had these 2 circled. Can you get through these 2 games and kind of be in touch up at the top of the table? And just a win for Ipswich would be massive. I think, big picture, I think most Ipswich fans, if you told them 4 points over Easter from Blackburn away and Southampton at home, I think they would have shaken hands on that, even though that could mean that obviously we could get wins for then Leicester and Leeds. And, well, crikey, we'd be on 85, 85, 86 if that happened. And look, this is just a crazy, silly, tight promotion race. So it could be. So look, it's just a massive, massive game. I think a home win in this one really hurts Southampton, and maybe, I don't know, psychologically, is that done? Yeah, you tell me. I think a draw keeps Southampton kind of in the conversation, given the games in hand against Preston and Leicester, but they've got to deliver in those then. Away win brings Southampton back into the conversation, doesn't it? And we'll probably get Ipswich overtaken then at the top of the table with Leeds playing Hull and Leicester playing against Norwich. So it's just a fascinating game. Right, player to watch time. And we're going to talk about Ellis Sims of Coventry City, which will allow us to parlay into a conversation today about the playoff picture as well. And Sims is just in ferocious form. Let me bring him up on the screen. There he be. Arrived at Coventry, obviously, from Everton on a fairly high ticket price. We think with, excuse me, lots and lots of add-ons, but he's now delivering after lots of questions. And yes, okay, there are 5 FA Cup goals in this and a hat-trick against Rotherham, but come on, let's not get... It's like when people remove penalties from people's goals. A goal is a goal. You know, it's the whole purpose of football is to score a goal and win, isn't it? So Ellis Sims has 12 goals in 9 games, including 2 hat-tricks and 2 doubles in his last 6 games as well. He's in incredibly fertile goal-scoring form. And just from a Sims point of view, before we look at the actual playoff race, you know, it was the narrative was just repeated over and over again with Coventry, wasn't it? That they had built themselves up to that playoff final with these 2 magnificent star players, Hamer and Gyökeres. And look what Gyökeres, for God's sake, is doing now with, well, where is he? Portugal, isn't he? Sporting Club in Portugal. And sometimes spreading out that money for a few players, can really, even though maybe none of those players are as good as Gyökeres or as Hamer was, but, Sakamoto, Van Evik, who else came in? Thomas, Kitching, Haji Wright, loads of players came in and, they padded out that squad nicely. And I always say in the parachute payments era, well, make your own parachute payment by trading brilliantly like Coventry did. And Ellis Sims now seems to be paying dividends. But any problem for Coventry is called Norwich City, who are in real form. And yes, Coventry have stuck 3 straight wins on the board, but so have Norwich. And the 4-point gap is there. However, Coventry do have a game in hand. However, Coventry do have a tough run-in, don't they? I would also say, look at Norwich's next game. They are away at Leicester. So is there a chance for a bit of a catch-up? Look, Preston are still in the conversation. They're just 1 point back from Coventry. I've got to pay Preston loads and loads of respect because so many times this season, I've just had this feeling that, I'm not sure Preston have quite got the quality the others have got. And I think in the end, they'll just fall short. But they are giving me a hard time for having that opinion, Preston, and they've got the win today against Rotherham. They're still in the conversation. I respect the hell out of them for how they've done that. Hull, you can see, have not won in 5 games, and they lost at home to Stoke today. And if you wanted a game to turn it around, Stoke have been struggling. Okay, Hull have been struggling at home, haven't they? But maybe this was the one today. And Hull, despite all their brilliant forward players, they've got a game in hand at 6 points now behind Norwich. I still maintain what I said going into this Easter weekend, that Coventry, just with that massive run of games, the FA Cup semi-final in there, and the schedule is going to be tough. And I think they've got some hard opponents as well, Coventry. So I do still favour Norwich. And these results today have done nothing to really dissuade me of that. Although I had Hull in 8th and they've dropped down a position today. But again, that can all change in the very next game. But Ellis Sims is our player to watch. And, can he fire Coventry back into the playoffs for a second season running? Or experience of Norwich, just that club and a lot of players in that squad just know the way around, and they certainly know their way to a promotion. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. And let me just round up a bit on the prediction side of everything. Right, so Sam and I recorded back-to-back prediction shows before the Easter weekend, so you won't have seen our round 40 predictions. They're going to be coming out tomorrow after this show. But I just wanted to give us both a slap on the back today. I scored 12 points and Sam scored 10. And between us, we got 5 correct outcomes. How about that? I got Millwall 1, West Brom 1, Huddersfield 1, Coventry 3, and Preston 3, Rotherham 0. Sam got Wednesday 1, Swansea 1, and Blackburn 0, Ipswich 1, which does mean, though, I had an 8-point lead. So I now have a 10-point lead. Sam, 138, and myself, 148. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to look at the clock and I'm going to wince because it is now no longer Good Friday. I have worked so late that we are into Easter Saturday, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to switch off now. We're going to get this uploaded and all scheduled to go out for you nice and early on the Saturday, and I'm going to really enjoy spending time with Shaylee and my lovely daughter Enid tomorrow, and Shaylee's parents and Shaylee's aunt and cousin are coming over. It's going to be a great day. So I'm going to forget about football for a bit tomorrow. But I don't want you to, because I need you guys to get in the comments. And if you're listening on audio, get your reactions to myself on Twitter, perhaps, and certainly get in with the 5-star reviews. So Predictions are going to go out. They've already been recorded later in the day. I think maybe 5 o'clock on the Saturday, if you're still in the right order here in the space-time continuum. And then we'll be a little bit dark, quiet on Sunday, obviously the massive Premier League games. By the way, we're brought to you in association with Match Bingo and said massive Premier League game. We're talking about Man City Arsenal. It's a £1,000 jackpot, so do get involved in that. Just make sure you follow the QR code that's up on the screen on YouTube right now if you do. But then I'm going to be back. I'm going to be on the Total Saints podcast as a guest on Sunday night and then hosting the Blue Monday podcast. Then on Sunday, watch along again on the channel, Ipswich v Southampton, as the crazy, mad carnage of the Easter weekend ramps up and finishes off. And we'll be back then with Sam on Wednesday when all has calmed down a little bit and we're all going to know a little bit more. Get your takes in the comments. I'm going to have a rest the next day and a half and enjoy my family. But I hope you have enjoyed the latest episode here of the Championship Check-In podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.